welcome to Alive. Our gospel passage today is Luke chapter 12, 13 through 21. Luke chapter 12, 13 through 21. And today's gospel passage is ultimately about inheritance and possessions. And so I'd like to speak specifically about inheritance and about possessions. I think inheritance is a very interesting concept. So as a priest, I have witnessed again and again in the confessional and in my office, families that no longer talk to each other completely based off of inheritance. Mom and dad write a will and give money or possessions or property or land to certain children and not to others. And it then causes World War III. Mom and dad die, and the family completely falls apart. People are angry, and it really is terrible. And I've had other situations where I've looked at what people have when they die, and they have a lot of stuff. And then their family is then left with going through all of these things that their parents have collected and spending a really disordered amount of time dealing with a bunch of stuff that they do not want and they now do not know what to do with. And so the vast majority of it just gets pitched and thrown away. I think there should be a desire for us to really die without a lot of possessions. I think that should actually be a goal. That we should try to die without a lot of clutter and a lot of junk. I mean, the presumption is that someone else cares about this stuff, but our world has changed so much, and so many young people today live in a minimalist mentality that they don't want things, they don't want clutter. They want to be able to move quickly or get from one place to another, and it's just a very different world than it used to be when people would pass on their mom's fine china and pass on their mom's collectibles and from the curio cabinet and these things that culture has left people with the ability to be more detached. But I also think that we really need to ask the question, like, what do I want my last breath that I take set into an effect? I think it's very different when a mom or a dad dies that has young children. That's a very different situation. And I think even to say, like, if I'm a grandmother or grandfather and I know that I have grandchildren that I'm raising, which is so much the norm now, like, what does that mean for me as a grandparent when I take my last breath to literally give blessings to those grandchildren? But I'm talking particularly about families where parents feel obligated to continue to pour out everything they have to their children who have constantly taken from them throughout their life. I look at so many moms and dads who feel that they have never done enough for their children. They've never done enough. And then they get very concerned about whether I'm going to have enough inheritance to leave to them. Like, you paid for your child's education. You raised your child. You took care of your child. You took care of your child's children. And you did so much. You are a good person. Like, you are. You don't need to have an exuberant amount of inheritance to give to them, that there's this belief in your mind that what you've done isn't good enough. No, you gave them DNA and breath to just begin with. And you're giving them blessings after blessings after blessings. So I think there needs to be that idea that, like, I can just let go. And but also I think, like, our inheritance also speaks a lot about what we believe. So when I take my last breath, what does that do to the poor? What does that do to the unborn? What does my last breath do to my parish? What does my last breath do to the world missions? So how does my last breath set into effect what I truly hold to be in my heart? I really do think that's actually really, really interesting. There's data out there about how among Catholics, particularly among those who give regularly to their parish through Sunday giving, it's crazy. Something like 80% of those individuals who give on a regular basis every single Sunday to their parish, religious organizations, meaning their parish or the pregnancy care center or other charitable nonprofits, are nowhere to be found in their will, and that their will is exclusively given to their children. So I really do think it's a great question for us just to ask. Our gospel passage is like really clear. Jesus, someone in the crowd says to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to share my inheritance with me." I will tell you, I hear this in the confessional all the time, of brothers and sisters who now are angry at each other about the inheritance that was given them by their parents. And what does Jesus say? "Who appointed me the judge and the arbitrator?" And then he says, "Take care to guard against all greed. For though one may be rich, one's life is not consist in possessions." The last part of that gospel passage. "You fool, this night your life will be demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong? For thus it will be for those who stored up treasure for themselves, but are not rich in the matters of God." I think we need to be rich in the matters of God. How am I decluttering my life, and how am I giving things to the Lord, to the poor, to the needy, to the unborn, to my parish, which hopefully you belong to a parish which would use those gifts appropriately. Hopefully you know a St. Vincent de Paul or a place where you can donate items or actually help people's lives in a profound way. But why do we think that we need to die with lots of stuff? I can guarantee you there is not a hearse in this world that carries a U-Haul. You will never see a U-Haul following a hearse. And I'll just tell you, the Egyptians buried their dead with their possessions, and they all got robbed. You can't take it with you. Live a detached life, live a simple life, and you will find a life more rooted in freedom. And when you take your last breath, have a plan that last breath will initiate acts of kindness and mercy and love and charity in our world. Just wanted to say all that because I believe it. There's other discussion questions down below. Feel free to look at those. You can also find them at allsaintscatholic.net as we celebrate this 18th Sunday of Ordinary Time. Today's gospel passage once again was Luke chapter 12, 31 through 21. Join us again next week for Alive.